Hi everybody, so I'm currently in Myeongdong. I'm standing outside the beautiful Myeongdong Cathedral, and today is a really exciting day because I'm going to be visiting this AI startup here in Seoul. I'm going to be meeting up with the CEO of the company, YB Lee, and fun fact, YB actually spent part of his life growing up in New Zealand, Christchurch, New Zealand, so that's really cool because I also grew up in Christchurch. I'm going to be meeting YB Lee for lunch. We're going to be getting pork tonkatsu at one of the very famous restaurants in Myeongdong. So yeah, let's come along for the ride. We got pork tonkatsu at this restaurant called Myeongdong Tonkatsu that has been around since 1983. The pork was extremely crispy and delicious, so I definitely recommend this place. Now, this was my first time meeting YB. I was introduced to him by a mutual acquaintance, Jeffrey Ling, who is heavily involved in the startup ecosystem in New Zealand. YB studied computer science at the University of Auckland in New Zealand and then did his master's in electrical engineering at the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. After lunch, YB was very kind to give me a tour of the Genesis Lab office. Genesis Lab is a startup that specializes in using AI to analyze nonverbal behavior like facial expressions. These analyses are then used to help with situations such as screening candidates for interviews and telehealth consultations for mental health. Later in the video, there will be a Q&A session with YB, so you'll learn more about Genesis Lab there. The office space is really nice and modern, and the office is just right opposite Myeongdong Cathedral. And the reason why there's barely anyone around is because we came during lunchtime, so most people were out for lunch. As you can see from the many certificates, Genesis Lab has won lots of awards. I asked YB which one's the best one, and he pointed at these, where Genesis Lab was awarded the Grand Prize for AI Startups in 2023 by the Ministry of Science and Technology. Now, if you want to learn more about AI or improve your tech skills, you can do so with Skillshare, the sponsor of today's video. In fact, it's not just tech skills that you can learn. Skillshare has learning paths in a variety of skills such as web design, video editing, and drawing. As a software engineer that works in the front end, understanding design is crucial, so I chose this learning path called Master Visual Web Design with Webflow. I like how hands-on and comprehensive it was, as it took me from the basics of Figma to designing a fully responsive website on Webflow. To be honest, I find CSS Flexbox to be quite confusing, but being able to learn about it visually with Webflow made understanding it 10 times easier. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry professionals across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. If you're not sure where to start, you can simply pick a learning path to help you get from novice to pro in no time. They are available in a range of experience levels from beginner to advanced, and a variety of categories including design, programming, tech, productivity, and more. So this year, invest in yourself and your goals by starting a learning journey on Skillshare to take your career, skills, or side hustle to the next level. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so get started today. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So, hi friends, I'm here in Seoul, South Korea. I'm currently with YB Lee, who is the CEO of Genesis Lab.
Hi, my name is YB. I'm CEO and founder of Genesis Lab. I actually lived in New Zealand for 10 years, back in 1996 to 2007. I spent my intermediate school, high school, and university life in Auckland and Christchurch. So I was majored in computer science in University of Auckland, and I moved back to Korea pursuing my graduate school at KAIST. My major there was electrical engineering. There I actually studied deeper into the face detection, that kind of image processing. Then I took a path to a career at the Samsung Electronics. I was the TV division doing technology strategy group. I worked there for 5 years, and then I decided to take an entrepreneurial life, and then I started my own company back in 2014. making enterprise messenger like Slack. So it was more like a Slack version of Asia. So the company was called TOSLab. Product is called Chandi. Still doing well. However, I found another opportunity in 2017 where AI was about to go seriously. Where I saw a big opportunity with deep learning, so I took the path to another second startup called Genesis Lab.
Genesis Lab is an AI tech startup. So do you just want to give an introduction about what Genesis Lab is, like what the products are, what problems you guys solve?
When I founded the company in 2017, we had this technology called the facial expression recognition. So we were able to detect 7 universal facial expressions like smile, angry, fear, sad, neutral, that kind of facial expression. We were pretty good at it, that we had a state-of-the-art performance. We were actually better than Microsoft and Effectiva. And especially we were good at Asian facial expressions because we, all these Asians, they don't have quite a big facial expressions. We tend to, yeah. So we had to find the subtle movement, very micro expressions. We were really good at those. To summarize, our Genesis Lab, we have a analyzing platform, so analyzing technology about people's non-verbal behavior, their past experiences, their context, their communication skills, etc. So we are actually digitalizing their entire aspects as much as we can. We recently also started mental health. We developed mental health analysis with Seoul National University Hospital for 2 years. So now we are going to that area of business as well.
And how did you come up with the idea for Genesis Lab?
Yeah, so before my first startup was an enterprise messenger. We had to go into this B2B side, and it was SaaS-based, very, very tough, but yet interesting. However, there was no tech. Yeah, it was more of a just programming nicely. But here I found when the deep learning came out, AlphaGo, it just struck my mind. Wow, this could really change the world. And actually, my professor called me. Hey, when you were studying in my lab, at that time there was no deep learning. But after 10 years, this deep learning is changing the world. It has a huge potential, and I think he mentioned that he believes that the deep learning can actually it's more to the production level, the quality of tech. So I met him, and he said, because I'm the only entrepreneur student, his graduate students, because everybody went to the military or either Samsung Electronics, but I was the one who were pursuing entrepreneur life, his students. So he told me, why don't you start up a new startup that with the technology deep learning.
We know that AI has been around for a long time, but in recent years it has become a very hot topic, especially with the rise of ChatGPT. And so we see that there are so many AI companies popping up every now and then. And Genesis Lab has been around since 2017. What do you think of all these trends in AI, and what does Genesis Lab do to try and stay in?
The more I feel is the speed of technology is becoming faster and faster. So even though we are in the front line, we still sometimes get the FOMO, fear of missing out, because there are so many other technologies. When we wake up, there's a new one coming up, especially with the generative AI.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, are we behind? So we get this FOMO, but I feel that the trend is now. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that nowadays it's about the who imagines this whole possibility. So it's about the fight of imagination. It's about picking the right technology, making it into a right product. I think now the trend is like before. So when I started my company in 2017, there were like STT companies who were specialized in the visual analysis, because maybe like voice recognition. So there was very component companies, component technologies. They received tons of funds for that particular technology. But maybe after a few years, now the markets actually wanted the applications. So the companies without the application, and also without the technology, were not able to get the funds. So from a component now became an application, and now the market wants more advanced, sophisticated product.
Then how do you deal with the ethics of AI, especially when developing the algorithms for facial recognition?
Yeah. So I think you mentioned that the ethics are very, very important, especially in the US and in Korea. There's a lot of regulations being placed. Now all the politicians are moving forward regulating AI. It's because of two things. The first one is the speed of technology is so fast that we do not know the potential threat of such technology. And the second one is also regulation is required in order to make sure the technology grows in the right way. So in Korea, by the Ministry of Science and Technology, there's trustworthy AI guidelines, development guidelines. Yeah, so there's like 60 checklists.
Wow, that's very thorough.
Yeah. It took us 120 days to prepare those. But within that policy, like from the very planning, when you make an AI product, you have to consider this. Are you considering this is helpful to the society? What are the risks? And from the data, how are you going to collect the data? It's Privacy Act. How are you going to protect the data? How are you going to train AI? How can we, or somebody, a third party, can evaluate the performance? Are you going to tell users in a nice and informative way to how to use AI? So there's a whole checklist of those, and by complying to those checklists, I think you will get a product that considers many aspects of ethics and as well as the trustworthy. Yeah.
And looking ahead into the future, how do you see AI evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So I said before, we are concentrating on the analysis part of it, right? So we are digitalizing people's behavior, thought, communication skills, things like that. I think nowadays it will become a generative agents. So what I'm saying is, once we digitalize the people, now we can use that data to generate agents like yourself that works instead of you, that works on behalf of you. So that kind of generated agents. I think that's where we are concentrating on. We're putting a lot of R&D resources to go into that direction.
And people have a lot of fear about AI taking away their jobs.
Yeah.
Do you think that will be a reality? Or do you think AI will be more of like a helper to make us more efficient in other jobs?
Two things are correct.
Okay.
So in the quantity wise, definitely there will be less jobs because the companies are profit making organization, right? So they had to cut down all the cost anyways. But if let's say AI can do certain things that human can, there's no obligation for companies to hire them, right? Unless you're a really large company, because government will push you to hire. But anyway, in the private sector, the quantity of the jobs will go down, I guess. I predict, but the quality of our job will be better because I think that we will be more meeting the people face to face. I think this kind of soft skill communication is important rather than working, like routine online stuff. Every AI will just take care of everything on this side, online. So we'll be humans. We will have more time to meet the people.
Okay, somebody also asked, how does China and South Korea compare in terms of AI? Which country is more developed? So what are your thoughts on that?
So it depends on the sectors. For example, AI, semiconductor areas, we are far advanced. However, generally, I think China is advanced. It's because of the fact that they are pushed by the government. So actually, Chinese government, the Communist Party, they actually just select, let's say, a company, there's ABC company, and they select A company, hey, you'll be the icon of facial related AI. Next day they become unicorns. That's how they operate. They select, they just pull a lot of money, and they just become a unicorn out of it. And that's why I think US and also Korea, in terms of speed, we are getting behind. China is even, and also as you know, China, they are using a lot of data. There's no privacy act really in place. The government controls all the data. That's also why they are becoming so fast.
So what is the Korean way of doing things?
I don't know why, but we are trying to follow a European way. Very, very sophisticated way of protecting the data. It's a bit, we are getting a little slower and we are really not satisfied with this current speed of environment, but now it's getting better and better. So, and all my friends of AI CEOs, they feel that let's move out of Korea. I mean, the market. Yeah, we should attack. We should go to the global market. Here is too small.
Okay, and then final question.
Yeah.
So what are some life lessons that you learned from your whole journey so far?
One thing I gotta share is that in Korea there's a proverb saying that becoming a successful businessman, 70% is luck and 30% is your effort. Meaning the business is there's a lot of miracles. I'm a Christian, but I believe some people interpret this as a miracle, but I believe it's God's plan and support. You meet the people in a very, very right time. That introduce someone at a very right time. There's a lot of episode to that. You go into you meet certain client. After the meeting, they never call you back, so you get kind of upset. But it took 2 years for them to internally discuss and come back to us. So which means it's just out of somewhere something always happens, and if you think about the business in a fun perspective, this kind of miracles are really exciting. Because, even though you feel like you have failed, it's actually
it's called plan in the making.
Yes,
right?
yes. And one thing I learned is that business is all about others helping you in your company. So you have to give back when you become successful. Because without their help, you wouldn't be here. So it's the obligation, it's the responsibility that you must have.
Thank you so much for sharing, YB.
Yeah.
That's the end of our Q&A with YB Lee. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Right.
Thanks to you guys for also leaving your questions in the comments. And thank you so much to you, YB, for taking the time out of your day to meet with me and to have this call interview. So thanks so much.
Right, thank you guys.